Hello, Cublets. Welcome back to another Bear with me, BearElliott. And this is part 2 of the GOST, the GOST, I think that's how you say it, the Greater Ohio Spirit Trackers investigation of the Chesapeake Community Center down in Chesapeake, Ohio. So, in the first section, we took a look at the history of the Chesapeake area and also the Chesapeake Community Center and how it originally started out as a school. In part 2 and part 3, I almost said part 1, but it's part 2. Part 2 and part 3, we're going to actually take a little bit more of a look into the spirits that are kind of haunting the area. Now, when it comes to the history of these particular spirits, you need to take a little bit of a grain of salt, because the information that you get about these particular entities oftentimes comes from interactions with the spirits, between psychics, and other ways that you can communicate with them. So, this isn't written in stone. So don't go out there and quote me or anything like that. Well, you can quote me all you want, I guess. But this is kind of an overview of what I think and what I've been told. My research can vary a little bit, but this is basically the gist of these particular individuals that they believe haunt these areas. Now, first up is going to be the ladies. Ladies always go first. There's 3 individuals that I'd like to focus on when it comes to the haunting of the Chesapeake Community Center. First up is Ruth Ann. Ruth Ann is the most known and I guess the most popular entity that hangs out in the Chesapeake Community Center. She makes appearances a lot. Now, Ruth Ann's story, again, this is all taken through what information they've gleaned, they've researched about this individual. Who knows if it is her, but this entity, when interacting with psychics and other means, she has identified herself as Ruth Ann. Ruth Ann's story is, okay, so Ruth Ann was about an 8-year-old-ish kind of age. We're going to say that she's 8 based upon what I've read. It varies between 8 to 12. Who knows exactly her exact age? She identifies herself through at least that evening when we interacted with her. And we did actually interact with Ruth Ann. A group of us were up on the 2nd floor, and we use a series of flashing light. It's a flashlight that you use, and you adjust the flashlight so that you can interact with the spirit so that they can answer yes or no questions, such as an example. Let's say Ruth Ann is in the room. I'm like, Ruth Ann, when you passed away, were you 8 years old? Please turn on the light. So on the flashlight, the light at that time will probably be off. If the entity is capable of interacting with that light, because energy, it's a whole energy thing, will cause the light to come on. So you can take that as a yes. If it stays off, you can pretty much assume that there's nothing there, or it's a no. So that's basic thing. Again, this is all not based in like fact. This is all up for interpretation. So Ruth Ann made an appearance on the 2nd floor. A lot of this information came from that interaction and also my research of Ruth Ann. But again, her story. Ruth Ann was about 8 to 12 years old and was picked up from school by her grandmother. Grandmother and her were not seen until, I would have to say, depending upon what the history is, it could be later on that day or it could be days later. Their bodies were found in the Ohio River, which runs behind the Chesapeake Community Center, about 4 miles up from the closest bridge. Now, there's a varying information in regards to, was it flooded? Was it not? Was this a suicide? What is known is that Ruth Ann's body and Grandma were found dead, deceased, and Grandma was holding Ruth Ann. Who knows exactly what transpired at that time? Ruth Ann's entity supposedly does hang out now inside the school that she went to. Because remember, the Chesapeake Community Center was originally a school. So Ruth Ann is about 8 years old. Now, our interaction with Ruth Ann, like again, took place on the 2nd floor. We were asking her a series of questions. She's a little girl, 8 to 12 years old, in a blue dress. She's the most widely known entity that haunts this particular building. Second up is Sarah. Sarah's story also has some varying information in regards to facts. There is a definite possibility that there was a Sarah and there was an incident that they have connected to Sarah. Again, the interactions and the information that they glean about Sarah comes from psychics and other means. Sarah's story. Sarah was about a 16-year-old. She was attempting to cross the street and got hit by a bus. Now, the story goes that Sarah got hit by a bus while her mother was there, and they could hear the screams of the mother out inside the building when this took place. Now, again, time period wise, could be about the 50s or the 60s when this took place. The school was active during that time, so it's a possibility. So Sarah happens to hang out also inside the building, but she likes to hang out down in the girls' locker room. Now, this is the entity that has been, I guess, her thing, as she's kind of known for, is leaving scratch marks on individuals. She supposedly does not like men, especially men with beards. Now, on our team, 2 of us have facial hair. Neither one of us experienced any kind of attack, even though they do ask you to provoke the spirits, which is something I never suggest you do. You might not want to kind of piss off a ghost. That's never a good thing, because things could go very badly quickly. So Sarah is supposedly leaves scratch marks on individuals, women as well, but mostly men. Now, we did not experience this, but the other investigator that has investigated this place multiple times has said that she's personally witnessed scratch marks, welts, and so forth appearing on men that have visited and provoked Sarah downstairs in the girls' locker room. The third entity, not a lot of information is known, and this is one of those spirits that's kind of a little bit everywhere. It's the woman in white. The story with the woman in white, don't know her history, just know about her appearance, that she appeared, I guess, once in the locker room, or not the locker room, inside the gym, because the first floor is kind of a gym area now. And a gentleman was working out, and he saw a woman walking back and forth behind him. She never interacted with him. Could be residual energy. Who knows? But it was a woman in white. Seems to happen a lot. So those are the 3 female entities that are most widely known to be haunting the Chesapeake Community Center. Next up tomorrow will be the guys' turn. So stick with me. So until next time, bye, Cublets!
I could go out in the darkness, see you calling my name. I hear you shouting, hear you calling, but it's not the same. Every word that you are throwing right into my back doesn't matter to me, cause I'm keeping my track. Let me go, let me go.